Hello, I'm probably riding my bike. I'm in Tokyo again, one of my favourite cities. A short trip this time, and just one day for riding bikes. Right now I don't have my bike yet. I'm on my way to get one, don't worry. A lot of people when they see me walking around seem concerned and surprised that I'm not riding. Maybe I'll walk around like a newly born giraffe or deer. Unstable steps. More confident on my bike, an extension of my legs. I've been staying in the area Roppongi, which is an area I don't know quite well, but I'm back in the familiar surroundings of Setagaya, heading to one of my favourite bike shops. But first a little onigiri snack for breakfast. I've never had this one with the fried chicken inside. Pretty glorious. And here we are, Wood Village Cycles. I didn't do it justice in my last video. It's such a lovely bike shop with a lovely owner, Yuta. Thanks to Yuta, I have one of my favourite Tokyo memories and one of my favourite bike memories of cycling across the city at night. A group ride in summer 2023. If you like bikes and you're in Tokyo, you should definitely go to Wood Village and join one of their night rides. Good community vibe, lots of vintage mountain bikes and parts, cool shirts, accessories, and a small number of probably riding hats for sale. So another good reason to go there. They used to focus more on vintage bikes, mountain bikes and parts, but now he's stocking some new frames from Rune Bikes in the UK, Rufus Stone. In a previous video in the summer, I got to meet Ash and go for a ride with him on beautiful Rufus Stone. That was through the gravel path of the New Forest, but today, on the streets of Tokyo, this Rufus Stone is built up for test rides if you're ever in Tokyo and keen to buy one of these bikes. This is a medium-sized frame with the 50 centimeter wide Rune hilt bar. Nice wide bar with good flare. I'm not usually a drop bar rider, but I found these pretty comfortable and the setup on this bike perfect for me. I'll do a bike check later, but I really like the mix of modern components and vintage components. A very Wood Village style build. Late December in Tokyo, but it feels like autumn. All the ginkgo trees still have yellow leaves and they're just falling off now. And it's a balmy 13-14 degrees Celsius. I don't even need to wear gloves today. A nice respite from the Korean brutal winter. It wasn't in my plan, but if you're going past Bluelug, you got to stop by to say hello and have a quick look. I think my favourite thing today was the USA-made Cordura nylon Swift Industries bags. Very tempting to spend all my money, but I already have a full Swift bag set up. Quite often my rides are perambulating with no real purpose apart from drinking coffee and eating delicious food. But today I've got a ride route planned. One of the best films I saw in 2024 was Perfect Days. I talked about it back in the summer in my Kyoto video. So here is the Perfect Days Tokyo toilet tour. And the first toilet, closest to Wood Village, right by Hatagaya Station. A bright, airy design with translucent glass so you can see the swaying of the trees and the silhouette of your bike while you're doing your business. Coming from the UK, the nice thing about East Asia and Korea and Japan is the abundance of toilets available to use when you're exploring the city. If you haven't seen the film Perfect Days, you're probably wondering, why on earth am I doing a Tokyo toilet tour? I definitely recommend that you watch this film. As I said, my best film of 2024. I watched it just after my summer trip and saw a lot of familiar places. I won't go into the storyline because I just think you need to watch it yourself. But it was originally commissioned for Wim Wenders, the German director, to create a documentary about the Tokyo toilets that were designed by different famous Japanese architects for the Tokyo Olympics. Obviously, because of COVID, but most people couldn't go to Tokyo Olympics, so I guess they needed a way to promote these beautifully designed toilets. Wim Wenders decided that a documentary wasn't enough and decided to make a beautiful feature-length film with the premise of these toilets. And for me, it's a good excuse to cycle around my favourite part of West Tokyo. Of course, the best way to get around and see them is by bike. They always looked quite far away to each other on the map, but I always was surprised how quickly it was to get to each spot, and grateful for the gravel gearing on this bike, for the odd little hill. The wide plump tyres on this bike just made for a cushy, comfortable ride. And I'm always happy to ride in Tokyo with all the other daily life cyclists. And we're already at our second toilet of the day, the Yoyogi Hachiman Shrine public toilet. Conscious of not looking like a pervert, I waited for no one to be around before I filmed around the toilets. I didn't want to get arrested and then be in the news of foreign YouTuber tourist gets arrested for being a pervert filming in the toilets. This spot has a lovely shrine, which was also in the film Perfect Days, to enjoy the komorebi, the light through the trees. And today was a very bright day with a little bit of wind, which made for a very atmospheric mood. The perfect spot for a little onigiri outside and some wedding photography. Now I've been to Tokyo a few times, I know my way around this part quite well. It's nice to not have to look at my phone all the time to get to different places. This is just by Yoyogi Park. There's always a lot of tourists taking pictures here of the trains passing in this typical Tokyo scene. And also, I guess, some tourists doing the Tokyo toilet tour as well. This one is meant to switch between transparent and opaque when you lock the door, but I think they had some problems with it and they turn it off in the winter, so it's always opaque. Hopefully no one was caught doing their business unawares with an audience. Through Yoyogi Park, one of the bigger parks in central Tokyo. It has a similar vibe to some of the parks in London. People playing football and baseball and ultimate frisbee, having picnics on this glorious sunny winter's day. I've only had one onigiri so far, so I need to stop by and pick up some takoyaki, some octopus dough balls with a bit of mayonnaise, some of the brown sauce and the bonito flakes. Perfect snack for a little picnic. The toilets are just the destination for this ride. The main part is getting between them, and they're quite nicely located to see a lot of Tokyo. Now we're heading into Shibuya, near that famous crossing, which I'm not going to cross today, it's too busy. And past this UFO looking toilet. This one was very nice with the light coming through the slats of wood inside, but there were just too many people for me to get any good videos. So Tokyo doesn't really have many bike lanes or that much good bike infrastructure, but somehow it still feels like a nice place to ride. I think generally the cars don't drive as fast and they give you a bit more space. Last summer when I posted some videos of Tokyo, some local people got a little bit annoyed about my riding style. I thought I was following the rules, but maybe I was doing a few things wrong. Hopefully I don't annoy anyone in this. Someone did tell me that they'd called the police and I wouldn't be allowed back in the country, but I guess the police had better things to do. I like to think I'm quite a considered cyclist and try to give space to people and not be a menace on the roads. Out of Shibuya and into Ebisu. This is the area I stayed in this summer, and I admired the architecture of this toilet and didn't realise it was of significance until I watched the film. This might be my favourite. And I wonder what the staff who work on these toilets think of the film, or whether they've even watched it. They might even think it's kind of ridiculous. But they do an amazing job. Every single toilet was impeccable. And the Japanese bidet toilets are just perfect and incredible. I can't believe they're everywhere for free. Seeing as this is my favourite one, I think it's time to do a bike check of the Rune Rufus Stone in mustard. I love Yuta's build of this with their vintage Shimano 600 cranks mixed with the more modern Shimano TRX shifting, a vintage Dura seat post and cambium saddle, and just look at that lug. Lugs, disc brakes, quill stem, chunky tyres, just a super fun bike. And the Kaito Harada rack, which is a local rack maker from Tokyo. Just around the corner we got to stop off for a taiyaki. I think that's how you say it. We have them in Korea too, but I think the red bean is a little bit nicer here. And I got one freshly cooked. Almost burnt my mouth off, but it was delicious. Back on the road. I didn't manage to get to every single toilet from the film because I just had a day of riding and I had a friend to meet. And friends are more important than toilets. And the last toilet of the day, maybe my second favourite. One guy with his daughter chatted to me outside and he thought it was interesting that I was doing a toilet tour on my bike. He'd seen the film, and so he thought it was a cool idea that someone from outside of Japan was doing a little tour by bike. And his daughter was super cute as well. There they are. I feel like a lot of people would enjoy watching my interactions with other people, but I feel like I'm kind of invading their privacy and the interaction isn't as genuine if I'm filming it. So I like to keep them to myself, but you get to enjoy my bike rides and other parts. Now we're off to meet my friend, leaving Ebisu through Daikanyama over towards Sangenjaya. And there's another bike shop in this video. Don't worry if you're not here for the toilets and you're here for the bikes. and another bike check coming up too. Now I've been to Tokyo quite a few times, I've got a few people that I need to see each time. And in the summer, one of my friends who I was meant to meet couldn't make it, so we had to meet up this time. I often talk about being an introvert in these videos, and I'm pretty sure I am. But some people say that I meet so many new people that I can't be an introvert. But I think it's just if you have something in common, like bikes, then it's easy. I'm heading over to meet my friend Massa, who has a shared love for Rivendell bikes. We used to chat back and forth about our bikes and things we'd like to change and bike parts and stuff on Instagram. And then finally, last summer in 2023, I was in Tokyo and we reached out to meet. Even though we're both quite shy guys. But birds of a feather stick together. When he told his wife that he was meeting a random guy off the internet, she was quite shocked. But when we met, we realised we had a lot more in common than just bikes, as is usual when I meet people through bikes. At Bluelug Kamiuma, I met another internet friend on his new bike day, with his new Bike Friday, which seems to be the bike of the moment. And here's Massa with his beautiful Rivendell platypus. I think for Rivendell's Bluelug Kamiuma is the place to go. And I got to try out the manager's Charlie Gallop. A little small for me, but still super fun to try. It's like a road bike with a longer top tube made for swept-back bars. Very tempting. And I got to have a go on Massa's platypus. I tried the platypus in the summer, but his was the perfect size for me. Off we go. I might have sneakily bought some handlebars too. It's hard to go to a bike shop without buying something. I'll share more about those bars in another video when I'm back in Seoul and the reason I bought them. So me and Massa only met a couple of times 2 summers ago, but it feels like seeing an old friend. We actually lived in the same neighbourhood in London. And catching up whilst riding bikes is always fun. You can talk about what you see around you, talk about what you've been up to, just a human interaction whilst travelling through the city. Time for coffee. We're in the area Sangenjaya, which has a really cool vibe to it. And we're stopping off at Long Weekend Cafe, one of Massa's regulars, which conveniently has lots of bike parking right outside. I'm a big fan of the abundance of bike parking in Tokyo. A typical tiny little cafe in Tokyo, enjoying a flat white and an Americano. Tokyo does coffee right. And I told you there was going to be another bike check. Last time I saw this platypus, it had some bull moose Bosco bars, but Massa has changed to the Choco bars, which I think give a nicer, clean line. I think they look amazing on this bike. And the classic sack-fill saddlebag, with the rapid rise derailleur gifted from Grant Peterson himself. I've got the same one on my Atlantis. Basically a perfect bike for cruising around Tokyo. Massa had some in-laws visiting, so it was just a quick visit, but lovely to catch up. I could just ride around for days, but I've got this bike for just a few more hours, so I better enjoy it. I noticed on a Sunday like today, lots of the streets are pedestrianised for people walking and with bikes. I like that they allow bikes still if you ride slow enough. I I think you're missing a trick if you pedestrianise an area but don't allow bikes through either. Heading into one of my favourite neighbourhoods in Tokyo, Shimokitazawa. And if you know this area, you know that it has a very famous curry restaurant. Owned by a fellow bike enthusiast, Rivendell lover, is Nasu Oyaji curry. I came here for the bikes, but I keep coming back for the delicious curry. Lovely, friendly service, good music on vinyl, glorious curry, and bikes outside. What more could you want? A must when you're in Tokyo, really. It's okay. And this ginger ale in Japan is really delicious too. A wake of clean bowls and plates. Time for one more coffee, even though the sun has set. Just around the corner in Shimokitazawa is one of the best coffees that I've had ever, so I had to come back on this trip. It's Light Up Coffee Shimokitazawa, which they've remodeled a bit inside, so it has more seating indoors. They only have single origin light roasts, so it's exactly my style of place, and one of the best espressos I've ever had. Incredible. The day has rushed by in a haze of toilets, clean bowls and coffee, but I couldn't be happier. Riding around in Tokyo is one of the best things to do. Seeing old friends, riding a sweet bike, glorious. I'm grateful for Yuta at Wood Village for letting me test ride this for a few hours, and just for introducing me to all the bike scene in Tokyo. So I've ridden the Rufus Stone in the gravel paths of the New Forest in England and the streets of Tokyo, and I think it's time that I got one for myself. I feel like I have space in my stable for a lugged, drop bar, coil stem, disc brake gravel bike. So I'm getting the frame and the hilt bars, and I'd love to do a build similar to Yuta's, with maybe some more modern shifting and more vintage other components. If you have any that you have lying around that you think would be perfect for my build, let me know. I'd love to mostly build it with used parts. Let's see if I can make it happen. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. See you later.